Hi everyone, it's Jan with What You Make It, and we are here with a creative play series, and today we are going to be playing with the Tim Holtz Distress Stains. I am really excited to actually get to share this with you because I've only gotten to play with these just a little bit, and so I want to find out what they can do and what benefit they are over, say, perhaps using the ink form of them. So we're going to do that, but as you know, before we do a creative play time, we always say the pledge. So grab your favorite crafting tool. It can be your ruler, it can be a box of ink. Again, there's no mistakes here, so you can grab whatever you want, and we're going to say our creative pledge, and that is, I am an artist. For the next few minutes, I pledge to forget about perfection and focus on having fun. I can spill paint, smear ink, and tear my paper, and I will still be an artist. I can't make a mistake. It's all fixable. And when I am done, I will have a work of art because I am an artist. And you are too, my friends. So I hope that you will enjoy watching what I do to play. So as I said, we're going to work with some distress stains, and I have pulled together several potential things for us to use. I have some ATC size pieces of paper, which for me is one of my favorite things to work on. An ATC card is small, and if I don't like how it's going and I make mud out of the colors, you know what, it's very easy to toss one of these in the trash. And I also work with tags because they're another very safe, non-scary thing to work with. And I usually will have a couple of colors. I have the light version over here that I cut out with my Tim Holtz tag die, and then I have some of these that are the darker manila, and then some that are white. Also, I have some dictionary paper. I have some scrapbook paper that is some scraps from it, because one of the things that I have is the picket fence, which, if you have not seen this, this is a more opaque version of these distress stains. These basically go on like clear or transparent washes or stains. They have a resemblance to watercolor, so they are really cool. But if you add white to them, the two things that happen, from what I've been told, haven't done it yet, have not even taken the top off of this one yet, but what I've been told is that they will give you a pastel version of whatever you're working with, and it will make them more opaque. In other words, that they will not be as transparent. So I'm anxious to see about that. I have a piece of just muslin lace that I thought would be fun to work with, and I have just a torn piece of muslin fabric. Don't know if I'm going to use all of this or not. I have some dictionary paper. I just want to play. So let's get started. I'm going to clean everything off and I'll be right back. So here we are, and one of the first things that I love to do when I am just trying to learn about a product is I get several small pieces of different types of material. I want to just do a comparison, and this can be as sloppy and as messy as you want because we're just trying things out. So I'll tell you what I have here. I have some sticky back canvas. I have a piece of dictionary paper. I have a medium weight cardstock in white. I have a piece of muslin. I have a thick piece, I think this is actually a piece of paper tray ink, black cardstock, because I want to see what happens with the opacity. And then I have a piece of pattern paper. You know what, I want to do the white one first. This is Picket Fence, and I really want to see what happens on this pattern paper. Now the Picket Fence, the white one, does have little mixing ball in there, and so you want to shake it up good from what I've heard. Like I said, I'm opening this up for the first time with you. You can see that the top of my dauber does not have anything on it. So I'm going to start, and to get it started you press, and that lets it begin flowing. You can see. And I just want to rub it over this, and we'll see what happens. Now at first it looks very, very, very white, doesn't it? But as it is drying, you can see it is, I'm going to bring this up where you can see, it actually is just kind of looks like a whitewash. So this would be a great thing to use if I wanted to do a kind of a vintage whitewash look and I didn't want to mix water and white acrylic paint together. Very cool. I'm going to do the pink, and I'm going to do it on all 4 of these. I'm going to do the muslin. Very pretty. I'm going to do about half of, no, I'm going to do the whole thing. And I'm finding that it soaks in really well, and it colors the muslin really nicely, and it remains wet. So if I wanted to come back in with another color, and this is fired brick, I think I would get some wicking and some blending on that. Okay, so now it's still very wet. I've got my mini mister, and it's just filled with water, and I'm going to spray it and see what happens. I'm just going to leave it there. Okay, on this half of the paper, just want to run it across and get a nice, very nice coverage there. And then on this side, I'm going to put water down first. Ooh, cool, cool. Got a little drippage going down there. That's very cool. Now let's put some of this on here and see what we get. Oh, okay. So now I've done a little reading on these, and I probably, when I first heard about these, thought that really what they were the Distress ink reinkers just watered down. But in fact, that isn't actually true. It's a very different composition from what I understand. And what I'm realizing is that this is, if we just were to water down our Distress ink reinkers, then they would not be as reactive with water. If we were to put some reinker in here and put some water, you would not get the reaction with water that you get because it's already suspended in water. So I am seeing that there is definitely some things that you would want to use this for rather than just creating a watered down version. So I'm going to go ahead and put some more on there because I want that to be all covered. And now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to use wild honey on here. I want to see what happens on, okay, you get really nice coverage on the dictionary paper. I guess there's a little bit, I'm going to hold this up where you can see, there's a little bit of resistance to absorbing the ink. You can see it kind of pulls up on that paper. So the cool thing about that is that if it is kind of sitting on top of the paper, then I have the opportunity to go in and let the colors blend together. I couldn't do that with a Distress stain, a Distress ink that I was using to cover a page. I wouldn't get that pooling on it, and this just gives me another opportunity for something to do. So now I want to try some of it on the sticky back canvas, and one of the things I want to do is I want to show you, let me see if I can find fired brick, because that's the fired brick. So these are the These are the same. And I'm going to use a sponge and put a little bit of this on the sticky back canvas the way we normally would, starting off and rubbing onto the, and then I want to take our distress stain and come here. Okay, so really cool. I get much better saturation. This gives me a kind of, I can still see the texture. Can you see the texture over here? But over here, I've got a really good saturation. So if I'm wanting to really get down into the canvas and give it a solid coating, this actually does a little bit better. So let's see what happens. I'm going to spritz both of them with some water, and they're both still reactive. I'm going to dry those in a little bit, and we'll do some stamping or something on top of it. I have one more thing that I want to try with these to see the difference of. So I'm going to clean everything up here and dry everything up, and we'll come back and do a little comparison when we're done. Okay, well, I'm not done playing. I'm sorry. You know, once I get started, and I hope this happens for you too, that you get started and you realize, oh, but what if I did this? And what if I, so that's really what has happened to me. And what I wanted to do, one of the things that I have enjoyed using the Distress inks for is to work with the Claudine Helmuth multi-medium in the matte, or really a gel medium. I just happen to really like Claudine Helmuth. I love the Ranger line of products. And this is also one of her foam stamps. And using foam stamps is a really easy way to apply this kind of technique. So what I want to do is I want to stamp with this onto these two pieces of dictionary paper, dry them, and then I want to see what the difference is when I ink them with the Distress ink versus the Distress stain. I'm just wondering, thought maybe you might be interested in that as well. So I'm going to open up my matte medium here, or mixed multi-medium, I believe is the correct name that they call it, and I'm going to put a fairly liberal amount here on the stamp. If you haven't ever done this technique, it's really fun. Now, I know what I expect to have happen when I use the Distress ink. It is, this becomes a resist for that, so I'm going to put that stamp here, get good pressure, pick that up, and I'm going to do the same over here on this other one. Okay, so we have, you can't see them, when the multi-medium is dry, it's totally invisible, so we're going to be flying a little blind here, but I'm going to start with the Distress inks the way we're accustomed to using them, and just going to begin with my lightest color of blue. I'm going to use blues here, and this is weathered wood, and you can begin to see where the multi-medium is. We do not, the ink doesn't stay there. I think the most important thing about creative play is to just have a curious mind. Ask the question, what if? What would it do if I did this? So I'm going to add some broken china to it. And I love this technique. It is one of my go-to techniques when I'm doing a mini album. Let's add just a little bit of dark. I'm going to do Faded Jeans because I know I have that in the Distress stain as well. So just add a little of that in here. I love the question, what if? I think it's a great question to ask, and you can take a cloth or a paper towel and wipe any little bit of extra off there. Very cool effect. Now, I'm just going to tell you right up front, you're playing along with me. I don't know what's going to happen here. I may just make a muddy mess. I know I love that. But let's see if the same thing happens over here on this one with the stain. So I'm just going to rub the stain on here. And remember, when we were just testing the dictionary paper, it pooled up a little bit. So the cool thing is I might get a little bit of a different look here. I'm going to add in some of the faded jeans. And now I am going to blot this because I want to get it off the top of that multi-medium. And in blotting it, the impact of it is not as strong. Do you see that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add some, let's see, where's my weathered wood? I'm going to add some of that back in here. And it may be that I need to dry it with a heat gun rather than blot it. I'm going to put some broken china. I didn't have any of that in here. I'm going to put some of that in here. And then a little bit of my faded jeans. So you're learning right along with me. Now, I love how watercolory that looks. So I'm trying to find a way to make that work with what and I think this will probably do it, because it's not going to, the heat is not going to have any impact on the multi-medium, but the heat will dry those very intense distress stain inks. Okay, very cool. Very, very, very cool. Okay, so what I've learned during my playtime here is that this will give me more of a watercolor effect than this. But the same principle, because the I guess it's the formula or whatever of the distress inks and the distress stains are similar enough, they're both going to resist this multimedium, and that's really cool. And if I want a more watery background, like I've done watercolor painting, this is the better way to go for that. If I want more of kind of a softer, grungy look, using the inker might be a good option. Okay, so I have one. I don't have one more. I have 100 things I want to figure out if it works. But you know what? I only have a little bit of time, so I'm going to tell you. I want to know, since I got such a cool watercolor effect here, I want to know if painting with them gives me a watercolor look, and I want to know how they react with the Perfect Pearl. So I'm going to put some broken china out here on my mat. Just pull it up there. Love working on this, the Ranger craft mat. And then I'm going to pull just a little bit of, and this is the Biscotti Perfect Pearls. It is a little bit different than just the pearl. So I'm going to put that out. If you hear that, that is a helicopter going overhead. Not sure what's going on. I'm going to mix these up. Ooh, very cool. And I may need just a little bit more. It's going to make kind of a shimmery paint, and then I can watercolor. Ooh, cool. Now I want to share with you that when I stamped this image, I was messing around while I was letting everything dry. I stamped it with archival ink. You could probably also use StazOn. You want it to be something that ink that does not react with water. So StazOn or archival would be better. Now I'm gonna put a little water in there, and I'm going to put a little bit of the faded jeans over here because I just want to see how these blend together when I'm doing watercolor painting. And I love how this looks. It is super uber cool. You can get the lights and the darks, and with that biscotti mixed in there, you have a really nice shimmery watercolor. So this would be a really good option if you just wanted to have a different look but didn't want to invest in a lot of supplies. You know, you could do watercolor with these as well. So let me just finish coloring that in. I'm going to come in here and do this center. Let me show you what that looks like. Is that fun? Get a good look at the shimmer and glimmer that's there. Very fun. So let me show you just a couple of other things that I'm curious about. While I have that out, I want to see what happens when I do just a little bit of tissue tape. I'm going to put a little bit of this on there. And I found that the tissue tape has a little waxy residue on it, but so it doesn't take the stain as well as it does the ink. So I'll probably stick with using the inks to stain my tissue tape over my over the stains. Okay. I appreciate you joining me today in my studio for a little bit of creative play. I hope this has inspired you to do the same. And remember, if you would like a copy of the Creative Play Pledge or the I Am an Artist Pledge that I've been sharing with you, just send me a message with your email and I'll be glad to send that to you. Had some fun today. Definitely some keeper things here. I think I'll probably finish working on this and make it into a tag. These are definitely going into my box of goodies to be saved to put on a layout when I need just a little element. Back at the very beginning, you remember I colored that muslin. Well, while I was waiting for other things to dry, I stamped one of the Claudine Helmuth stamps on it using archival ink and just sewed it to a ATC card. I'll probably do something fun with that. And something else that I did was I made a whole strip of that muslin that we had been playing with, only I used kind of fall colors on it, and then I did some stamping on it. Let me put it up here where you can see. And I did the same thing with some canvas, and then with this I added some of the Perfect Pearls to it. So we've got really nice pretty shimmer on it, and then I took the piece of canvas and ran it through the Tim Holtz Tattered Floral die, and I made a flower out of it. And the center is a piece out of this muslin that I cut out and used my iTop tool to make a brad. So lots of fun things that I have discovered I can do with my distress stains. I hope you've had fun playing. I appreciate you coming and going through the experimental process with me, and I hope you save some time to play this week. You have a great week. I'll see you soon.